Hello, everyone. The biggest bit of news out of Russia today is the supposed death of Wagner chief Yevgeny Prigozhin. And that sort of flooded the airwaves to the extent that most news sources missed another bit of big news. So let's disassemble this. Here's what we know. So 2 months ago, Prigozhin led what looked like a mutiny against Putin. Then he suddenly stopped. He was diverted to Belarus. At the time, Belarus President Lukashenko, Putin's famous poodle, promised Prigozhin that it was safe. Okay, that he and his soldiers were safe. And since then, they issued some questionable statements about possibly attacking Poland. I mean, not smart. So it is unclear what Prigozhin was doing in Russia. Here's what we don't know for certain. I want to see definitive confirmation of this yet, so I'm not going to say this with 100% certainty. Was Prigozhin actually aboard the plane? The plane was Prigozhin's private jet. There were other people on board, 3 pilots and 6 other people, in addition to what we think was Prigozhin. It was shot down by Russia's air defense systems. It was between Moscow and St. Petersburg. Okay. Russian media is already spinning it that Ukrainians did it. Now, look at where Moscow is and look where St. Petersburg is. Assume the plane was somewhere between those two, and then look where Ukraine is. While Ukraine has drones on the Russian territory, it does not have air defense systems there. And what hit the plane was very obviously an air defense rocket. So, there is that. Is it very likely that this was orchestrated by Putin? Absolutely. What surprises me personally is that Prigozhin was one of the most feared men in the world. He had a lot of influence, specifically in Africa, where he orchestrated many an assassination and coup. So, after his own failed revolt, he should have hightailed it to Africa and spent time there figuring out what he wanted to do next, because Africa is big and he could easily get lost there. So it is unclear if he was aboard that plane, what was he doing in Russia? Why did he feel safe flying around Russia? I mean, he practically had a bullseye painted on his head for the last 2 months. So lots of questions out there, and I think this is where I'm going to leave this, because I don't want to engage in speculation. The big news that's of interest to me is this, that Ukrainian armed forces had carried out so far their most daring raid into Crimea. So this is on Crimean territory. Both CNN and Politico have written about this, but I'm sure by now other sources are reporting on this as well. Basically, they went in, they engaged Russian military there, and I think that is huge, considering Crimea has been under Russian control for 9.5 years. And since the international community has done nothing to help Ukraine return Crimea, basically pry it out of Putin's grubby little hands, obviously Ukraine is taking matters into its own hands, and the victory in this war against Russia includes taking back the Crimean Peninsula.